Hey guys, welcome back. Today, I want to talk about 5 signs that help you to identify or recognize covert narcissists. And I really feel like there's so much needed to say on this topic of the covert narcissist because it flies so far under the radar. In fact, with a covert narcissist, they can make you feel as if you're being petty. They can make you question your perception. They can make you feel like there's something wrong with you for being upset with things because they just have this expertly manipulative way of hiding the abuse. So, that being said, let's dive into these 5 signs of covert narcissism. And don't forget to watch to the end because my favorite part of every video is what to do about it.
For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a trauma-informed coach. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. I'm also the founder of the School of Transformation, which is a monthly membership where survivors of emotional trauma meet from all over the world, and we do the inner healing work together. So if my videos resonate with you, don't forget that there's the option to come join me live every week.
Okay, so the first sign is, and I'm going to give it through the lens of maybe a child growing up with a covert narcissistic parent or somebody in a romantic relationship. But the first sign is that people outside the family have a different view of either your parent or your significant other. For example, if you're a child and you have a covert narcissistic parent, you might have or be surrounded by people that are constantly telling you how amazing your parent is. They wish that your parent was their parent. And as they're saying this, as they're explaining this, you're inside feeling like this weird dread and confusion because you don't feel that way. You don't see this person as amazing. You feel confused and as if there's something wrong with this person, but nobody else sees it. Now, it's the same thing with a significant other. You'll have people come up to you and be like, oh my goodness, you are married to the most amazing person. And in your head, you're like, how come those amazing things that they do for other people, how come I don't get that? So there's a difference in how they treat other people and how they treat you. And so if you're dealing with a covert narcissist, they're going to make sure that you spend time around people that think they are amazing. To the second sign of covert narcissism is when you spend a lot of time in cognitive dissonance. So this sign is actually about you looking at you and not them. When somebody's in cognitive dissonance, there's a lot of confusion and discomfort inside. And cognitive dissonance is basically that. It's the discomfort of having 2 opposing thoughts. He says he loves me. He treats me horrible, right? The words and the actions are not on the same page. And so the brain just is super uncomfortable with this. And so you're constantly in this state of cognitive dissonance, of confusion, of, I love those words that they're saying that they love me. Why doesn't it feel good? Why does this not settle me? Because your brain is also seeing the actions that don't prove it. So if you find yourself in states of cognitive dissonance all the time, of that discomfort and that confusion as to what to believe and what to trust, you're probably being manipulated by a covert narcissist. The third thing that can make covert narcissists hard to identify is the way that they insult you. An overt narcissist is going to insult you outright. They're just going to name call. They're going to put you down. They're going to do it in private. They're going to do it in public. That's what overt narcissists do. They don't hide what they do. Covert narcissists are like the wolf in sheep's clothing. They like to do that. They want to insult, want to put you down, but they don't want to look bad for doing it. They will insult you. They will make you feel bad about yourself. And then when you're feeling like crap, they'll say something like, I'm only doing this to help you. Like I just want you to know the truth. And this way, by you knowing this, it's helping you and you can be better. And so instead of being outright mean, they are mean with the veneer of trying to be helpful and caring. Fourth sign of covert narcissists is the way they apologize. Now, I would say they don't apologize, but every now and then they do. Every now and then they do, but it's with a different purpose and it's done differently. So if you're dealing with somebody that's emotionally healthy and, you know, everyone has a part to play in every disagreement. So it's normal to apologize. It's normal to acknowledge and own when you do something that hurts another person, even if it isn't intentional. So when a healthy person says, I'm sorry, it's not just a word. It also includes the feeling of feeling bad for hurting, right? For causing any kind of harm to that person and a desire to not repeat it. Well, a covert narcissist can use the word sorry, but it doesn't have those same meanings and values. That word is basically their way of saying, okay, I don't want to keep this conversation going. And I just want it to end and move on. And so they'll say it. And basically, what they're really saying is, shut up and let's move on, to be honest. But you might think, oh, they actually apologized. So maybe they're not a narcissist. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes as far as what to do if you realize you are dealing with a covert narcissist. Dealing with a covert narcissistic parent or significant other, you will start feeling as if you have to change you. And it's very subtle, but you'll start noticing that it's almost like you're being adjusted. You're being adjusted, your tone of voice is being adjusted, your emotional states are being adjusted all the time. And there's a certain way you're expected to be. Instead of being accepted for you, there's this expectation of what you're supposed to be. So I was talking recently to an 18-year-old, my youngest client, right? And he was telling me, he was like, I realized with my narcissistic parent that I couldn't be a certain way. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't, be myself. It's like I had to be what he wanted me to be. So there's this feeling of you're not allowed to be you. You have to be what the person expects. And this is where it can be really, really confusing because sometimes a covert narcissist, the way they control may not be with outright abuse. It might be with a look. It might be that you're all happy, right? And they give you this look. And so what do? You're like, oh, what'd I do? Something's wrong. I got to watch. And when that's done all the time, your nervous system starts associating happiness with something negative. And so it doesn't even let you go there anymore. So you want to watch out. Do I feel like I can be myself around this person? Does this person fully accept me? My highs, my lows, my good qualities, my imperfections, or do I feel like I'm supposed to be something that they want? Okay, things to think about. Now, let's shift into if you're watching this video and you're like, okay, this is resonating. What can you do if you realize that a parent or a significant other is a covert narcissist? The first thing I would recommend once you start realizing this, if you're at the beginning of realizing this, right, is if you are always around people that is supporting a viewpoint that is not your viewpoint, that is confirming the reality of the narcissist and invalidating your reality, you're not going to be able to find support. Anything you say to people that are thinking the narcissist is amazing, they're not going to hear you. They're not going to believe you. They're going to think the problem is you, even if you give evidence. Now, that might sound crazy, but the reality is that you are not an expert manipulator and they are. So they know how to manipulate and do things that wouldn't make sense to get people to believe them. So rather than trying to prove your reality to people that aren't sharing it, start finding ways to reach out to people that are outside of that circle of the narcissist's flying monkeys. Now, that might be challenging, but you can think of what family members did the narcissist not want you to get close to? The reason usually is because those are healthy people that are not fooled by that person. See if you can reach out and start getting some kind of back and forth with people that can validate your truth. And until then, start practicing to validate your truth inside of yourself. So let's say the narcissist does something, and to you that's unkind and unloving, and they twist and turn it around, and by the end of the conversation, you're like apologizing, right? Start standing in your truth instead of defending, instead of over explaining. If they do something unloving, you just state one sentence. That was unloving. That was unkind and unloving. And they're going to spin and spin and spin. And you just stay repeating that same thing. That was unkind and unloving. And in your mind, you're going to have to say, they're allowed to not believe me. I'm allowed to stand in my truth. It's almost like you have to give yourself permission to be separate, because the narcissist doesn't treat your perception as separate. With cognitive dissonance, one of the things that happens is we hear the words the narcissist says, and we so long to hear them that the second they say them, we want to believe them. They said it, therefore they mean it. And we might think that because that's how we are, right? You wouldn't say it unless you meant it. But we can accidentally be projecting who we are onto the narcissist. When they say something, they're saying it always for an agenda. It's not because they always mean it. So for example, I love you. Meanwhile, they just berated you for 3 hours and made you feel horrible about yourself and told you every horrible thing. Then they turn around, they're like, but I love you, right? You might be desperate to hear those words, but remember that actions speak louder than words. So start looking at a person's actions, and no matter what they're telling you, ask yourself, do their actions support it? What do their actions say? And once you have that information, something that we do on accident is we then want to take this information to the narcissist to help them to see. It's a lost cause doing that. It doesn't work. The person you really want to be convincing is yourself. You have to look at these actions and say, I wish those words were true. I would have liked those words to be true. But I can see by the actions, this is what truth is. And it's hard. It's hard to hold on to that truth, but continually and regularly looking at their words and actions and really noticing their actions and what it says is going to help you to get grounded in reality. And my last tip is to start connecting to you. The reason we change, the reason why we're willing to shape shift and change our personality to be what we think they want us to be usually has to do with childhood trauma. And it's usually because we are seeking the acceptance and unconditional love that we didn't get in childhood. And so as a child will shape shift. They will do anything to try to get the love and acceptance from their parent. That strategy is still coming up in our adult life if we're doing that. The way to get over that is to start recognizing that you can give yourself the acceptance and unconditional love that you didn't get in childhood and that you deserved to get. You can begin doing that. And the more you connect to you, the more you will be, the more in your body you will be, the more authentic you will start to be. Now, I will say, as you become more and more authentic, the narcissist doesn't like that because they want you to shapeshift for them. They want to have the power to stop you from being you, but that's wrong. And you have the right to be your authentic self. And you'll be able to do that, though, only if you are giving yourself the love and acceptance that is needed and deserved. So I hope these tips help. For anyone that is struggling and is looking for consistent, regular support, because this type of abuse, it messes with your subconscious beliefs, it messes with your relationship with you. And it's really hard to work through. So if anyone's looking for consistent, affordable help, I created Thriver School of Transformation, which has 9 to 12 live meetings on Zoom. These aren't videos that you watch alone. This is a Zoom classroom, so to speak, where you're in with other Thrivers and we talk about different things and we work through the healing journey together.